Alright, hello again everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I am coming back at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. This video is our Wednesday live stream. We start around 11. I'm actually starting a couple of minutes early today. I have some projects that I need to work on, or that I am currently working on, and we'll talk about those. We'll talk about a few other things. I actually, believe it or not, I actually have an agenda. Whoa. You know, well, the first thing is, I want to address what's on the table right here so that I can move it off the table so I can start working on something so that I can be working while I'm talking to you guys. Okay, first things first. These trees. Okay, I don't know if you can see them on the camera. Okay, you can. These trees were the trees I bought on Amazon, believe it or not. I posted it, I don't know, it's like $14 for 24 trees. And I had these Litco 25 millimeter round bases, right? And instead of using washers and filling the washer with putty and then putting the tree in the putty, I decided to just drill a hole in the wood and then apply some thick glue and then stick it down in the hole, let it dry, and then I hit it with some dark earth, terrain paste, and it's so far so good. They look good. Now a couple of these I decided to weight them down. I have a huge bag of 25mm magnets that I never use for anything. So I figured I could stick it on the bottom there to give that base just a little extra weight. It doesn't need it because with the paste and the size of the trees, there's really no need for that. I can just drop that guy on the table. One good thing about putting the magnet on there is if I ever need to put them in a tray or something and store them, they'll stick. But my problem with that is I never do that. I never put magnets in trays and put metal bases down on in bases like that. Okay, so I'll get these guys out of the way. I'll get up here in just a second and put them away. There's been a lot of stuff to talk about. That's why I made the agenda. Hopefully we'll be able to get all this. Well, we'll definitely be able to get all the discussion done in 2 hours. But will I be able to get the project that I want to work on today done for you guys so that you can see it in 2 hours? The answer is no. But okay, I started this last night, trimming the sides, and then I put milliput. You guys are all familiar with it, you know, milliput. Yeah, I put that along the edge here of the MDF. This is just MDF board, and on top of the milliput, I used some Alex caulking. It's a latex acrylic caulk, and I just smeared it around with my fingers, wet my fingers so that it wouldn't stick, and I covered the sides and the insides of the milliput, gave it more of a slope, even though it already had a slope. It just sealed everything. And then I did it on both sides, and you can see I left an opening at both ends here. And then I also put the Alex paste over the entire. Whoa, what just happened there? Yeah, that's my bad, but that's okay. It won't affect. Okay, get my finger wet so that I can make that even. It won't stick to your wet finger. So you can actually go over and sculpt this. This is not the Alex. Okay. So once the Alex dried, I primed it gray, of course, and then from there I painted the edges like a brown color, and then I painted the inside. This is going to be a lake. I painted the inside a light blue, and then gradually worked my way out with darker and darker and darker blue. So the center part of this is like almost black, and then it just gradually, I blended as best I could this dark blue. I think it was navy. Then it went to ink spot. Then it went to, I think, true blue. And waited for that to dry. And then once the paint was dry, I used the muddy earth along the outer edge here, which it dries pretty flat. So for some reason, it just doesn't look muddy to me, but that's fine. It's the dark earth around there. And then once all the earth dried, the paint was dry, everything was dry, I took some Liquitex super heavy gel, I guess this is Gizo, and I smeared it over the entire thing. Now, I put it on super thick, okay, over the entire area, even this area, it's all super thick, probably 1/8 of an inch, or maybe a full millimeter, right, over the entire thing. I was planning on doing 2 coats. I probably won't. I don't know. Just depends on how it looks when it dries. But once it dries, and you can see this part here is starting to dry pretty good. I don't anticipate it to be dry in 24 hours. I anticipate it to be dry maybe in 48 hours. You know, depending on how thick you put it on will determine how fast it dries. And I put it on thick. So I'm expecting like 48 hours. When this dries, it's going to be extremely glossy. You can already tell. It's going to be extremely glossy, and it's going to have a layer of transparency. Once that's dry, I'm thinking about going over it with this Vallejo, can't see, Vallejo water texture. My fear is that this water texture is going to make it look like waves or breaks in the water. I'm afraid it's going to have like, it's not going to dry clear. I'm afraid it's going to dry, because the way the picture looks, it looks like it's got a lot of foam or, you know, the white, I don't know what they call that, the white part of a wave. You know, when the wave crashes and you got the white spray and everything. That's kind of what this looks like. Like if I was making a diorama of a beach or something like that. This might be good on the actual rivers as I go down the rivers. But it does say transparent. So what I'll probably do is experiment on 1 or 2 of my river pieces to see if this actually dries clear, and if I can smooth it out like I know I can do with the Liquitex, because I've used this in the past. I've never used this. Now I also ordered the AK water effects as well, and that's not supposed to show up till Saturday or something like that. So, but I am going to use it to experiment as well. So I'm going to experiment with all of them and see which ones are actually the best. I anticipate it taking a little while for all that to dry. Okay, so I can get this out of the way because we're not going to be using it right away, and I can put these trees up. And then I'll move this and we'll get started. All right, and so this is going to be the lake in Quatre Bras. Okay, what I'm going to do is put some wax paper down. These are all my additional river pieces, and this is the Alex fast dry that I was talking about. It says that you can paint it in 20 minutes. You can spray paint it immediately. I recommend not spray painting it immediately, giving it at least 20 to 30 minutes to dry, because I found on some of my 28mm models, I used this around the bottom of the base to mold the base. Okay, don't need any of that. Okay, good. So like I had a 28mm hero on a round base, maybe a D&D figure or maybe Napoleonics, I don't remember. But I put the Alex around, I think it was Alexander actually. I put the Alex around the bottom of his base to give it, so it didn't look like he was standing on a metal platform. And then when I went to prime the model, the primer prevented the Alex from ever drying. So what I wound up having to do is take like a pin and poke holes in my paint to let the Alex dry underneath, which worked. And then once you painted it up, put the texture and the flock and everything on there, you didn't know the difference. But I just realized you just can't paint it until it's dry. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so I'm just going to take any one of these straights. I don't need all of these. Okay, I cut some of these out with angles like where a bridge is going to be, or where the edge of the table is going to be, or something like that. So I went through and tried to figure out exactly how many I was going to need. I think I'm going to need one more, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. All right, we're going to get a very small amount of milliput out. Switch my glasses so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm concentrating on this. If it's something I'm concentrating on, I apologize that I'm not talking, but what I'm going to do is take out a very small portion of milliput. I actually think I ordered a second one of these to make sure I was able to cover all the rivers. I don't know if you can see that, it's about less than 10 millimeters. Okay, so you cut up, I might have cut through the paper, but okay. I put this down because milliput is very sticky. Very sticky. And what I'm getting ready to do with it, I didn't want it to get all over my workbench. So, we're going to take these two pieces and we're going to knead them together. Because the chemical reaction of these two halves of the milliput, when they combine, it triggers the hardening process. and then it'll become hard. I'm putting a little water on here, just dapping it on there because it makes it less sticky on my fingers. Some people would like use gloves or whatever. I like the feeling of it in my hands. I like to know what I'm working with, and not, when I put gloves on, I lose that tactile connection. And what I'm doing is like a samurai sword. I'm flattening it out, and then I'm folding it. So, and if I see like a gray piece or a yellow piece that's solid by itself, I'll fold it in, or try to. One reason why I like milliput in this project is, and in general, when it hardens, it's like solid steel. It's like it hardens like a rock. And so what I have done in the past, and I recommend it because it was worthwhile. If you ever build like a large model, like a dragon, that has like a body and then this huge piece that comes off of it that you know it's going to like fall over or tip over. And yes, everybody says pin it. Okay, sure. You pin the model. But in addition to pinning the model, use milliput as your adhesive, or glue it like you normally do, and then right around the edges, like where you would normally put any kind of model filler or anything like that, like a Tamiya model filler. Use milliput instead, and man, that wing is not going to go anywhere. Or if you're building like a giant building, I think it's mixed together pretty good actually here. Okay, so let me wet my fingers again, because I don't want it to be all over me. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to use the wax paper. The whole reason why I got this wax paper out, so that I could start forming a snake. Nothing too elaborate. I'm not basically just rolling it out. And you can see how some of it's getting on the wax paper. This piece is breaking. Perfect. Because I'm going to make like 5 or 6 smaller snakes anyway, so it's good. It broke for me. Now, depending on how far I can get with this amount that I made, will determine how many of these I do for you today. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay, so that's actually a pretty good thickness. It's about 3 or 4 millimeters. And I take my river potential, and then I don't put it right up to where the bank is. I put it in a little bit, and I'm giving it some curves. Just a little bit. Doesn't have to be something drastic or anything. Okay. That's just an idea. Okay, let's go with a little more. I'm going to break a little piece off. Easier to work with the smaller piece. Okay. Do I think that's long enough? Yeah, it's long enough. Because it can be stretched out a little bit, or you can, this thicker piece can be pushed into it. Now, I considered, there was this, I saw this thing on online, which was modeling clay, and it was self-hardening. So they said, like, leave it out in the air for 24 hours and it will harden. And it was 2 pounds of material. I got scared and said that in my head, I was thinking 2 pounds is way too much. When I think this is like 8 ounces. I think this is, what is that, half a pound? No, it's not 8 ounces. How much is this? 4 ounces. It's a quarter of a pound. So I think just 1 pack of these will get all my rivers. If I got 2 pounds, I might use a pound of it, maybe, and then the other pound is going to go to waste because I don't have any other projects that I need done with milliput. Okay, so there we go. And I'm only eyeballing the end. The end, what I want the river end to be about 2 millimeters wide. Okay, so let's take half of this. I'm holding my paper down here because this milliput wants to roll up the paper. And luckily this is holding the other end. And guys, if you want to chat with me, you can put your chats in the comments. I have the chat right here so I can look up at it and see what you guys are saying. Or just follow along. Just watch. Enjoy yourself. Drink some tea. Have some coffee. Eat some crackers wherever you're at. I went to, I think it was Old Glory's website to maybe order some miniatures or basically something, and I noticed it said that their international orders are suspended, like they're not doing international orders. And so I was going to address that as news today. I was going to say, hey, Old Glory is not shipping out internationally. That's not true, because I went today and verified it, and it said to certain countries they're not shipping to. So it's not an across the board kind of thing. UK, you're okay. US, you're all right. You guys are okay. So now this is all eyeballing. This is not. I made it too narrow because when I put the Alex on, it's going to narrow the river even more. So I'm going to roll it out just a little bit more. I mean, it can be narrow and wide. It doesn't matter. It's just the ends, so that when they go together, they'll match. And I kind of want to match the stream, right? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this piece might just do it. And if it does, then we'll just do one board and call it quits. Which is good, because that means you guys get to see start to finish one of these. Well, maybe not start to finish, because it'll take a while for the gizo to dry. And paint and all that other stuff. Okay, other news. I'm jumping to the bottom of my list. I've got a an agenda, right? But I don't have like a set, like this is what I want to talk about first, and this is what I want to talk about second. But some news. Warlord Games is getting ready to release. They haven't done it yet, but they're getting ready to release some armies that, okay, I got too much, right? Okay, I can make a wall real thick, or I can take that off. And I can add it to one of those. There we go. All right, so now what I do is I kind of pinch both sides together. Not only does it force it to stick down onto the board, but it, okay, I just jumped off of news back to my project. Okay, but yeah, I'm pushing it down, making sure it's sticking onto the MDF. Flattening a little bit to the top. Don't have to do that, but I don't like it to go just sharp up. I want it to be, you know, kind of like that. Yeah, Warlord Games is getting ready to release 2 new starter armies. The Anglo-Zulu War. So if you're interested in getting Zulus for like a the colonial period, that'd be pretty cool. I've got a friend who's got the Rourke's Drift set, and that was, I personally love that movie too, Zulu, you know. That's one of my favorite movies, actually. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's probably the Sergeant. Probably Color Sergeant. Probably my favorite thing. Not Kane or Christopher Plummer or whoever it is that's in that movie. Okay. So you get an idea of how the river is going to look once that dries. That's going to take a minute to dry. So what I'm going to do is, without further ado, I'm going to not waste any milliput that I've already mixed. Okay, let's move that over just a slight hair. Now when this dries, that's fine, because I'm just going to add more to it and extend from there. So this can go on now, even though it's not, I'm not going to do anything with it until later. I'm not going to mix any more milliput. I'll probably do that later today or off camera or something like that. Now milliput doesn't really take that long to dry. I think it's 30 minutes or something maybe. Does it even say? It's versatile. Can be sculpted and set, sawed, drilled, tapped, filled, sanded, painted. Can be cast for model making, car building, boat repairs. Blend equal amounts. Okay, here we go. Milliput goes rock hard in 2 to 3 hours. Like Viagra. Okay. 2 to 3 hours. Okay, so it's probably not going to be done. It's probably not going to be done. I should have prepped a couple of these ahead of time You know, I thought about it, actually. I did think about prepping some of this ahead of time, and I said, nah. That way, you could, I'll like say, okay, there you go. And then I'll pull another one out, and it'll be hard already, you know. And then I'll put the Alex on there, and then I'll put it to the side, and I'll pull one out that's already got the Alex on there, and it's already hard. And then I'll go to paint it. But I said no. That'll all happen in my video when I explain how to do it. Which, that'll be coming up soon. Okay, so I guess I'm not doing any more on these. Okay, fine. I see how you're going to be. But yeah, that's basically how I put my milliput on there. Just randomize it, give it a little bit of a gap, and then when the two rivers meet, you know, it'll be close, but maybe not exact. It doesn't have to be exact. Now, color-wise, do you think I should put blue down the center of this? I don't think so. I think I should put kind of a greenish brown is my thought. Maybe a not a gray, not just green and not just brown, but because I want it to look like maybe a blue-brown. Is there such a thing? Because the sides are all going to be brown, and then I'm going to flock it with green. I could make this like a super dark blue. Maybe that's what I'll do. Because I have some blues that are so dark they almost look gray. And that way it won't look... Yeah, that's probably what I'll do. Super dark blue. Like a blue-gray. And then I'll Gizo it. A couple of them I'll use the Vallejo water effects, and we'll see how that affects everything. Okay, so next topic. I thought I was going to talk to you while I was working on this, but that actually went really quick. You know, I'm like, okay, no problem. Let's see what we got working on here. Yeah, okay, so let's talk about the rivers real quick before I move on to the next topic, right? MDF, used a jigsaw, cut out a bunch of strips. These strips are 60 millimeters wide, mainly because I was going to make 40 millimeter roads, which I already did, and that gave me about 10 plus millimeters on each side to put grass and stuff like that. And then I cut these into 6-inch strips, and I planned on doing a river, which is not going to be perfectly straight, but they were, and it's going to be narrower, so that'll give me that little extra wiggle room, basically, right? There are some pieces like this that are angled so that I can put them gradual turns or what have you. There's actually one in here that's pretty serious. Might be the bottom ones. Yeah, maybe it's that one. But yeah, there's some that are serious turns. Just depends on how you want to do it. I have some rivers on order. It's MDF that's pre-cut. It's 2 millimeters, just like this is. But it's laser cut, and then you can just pop it out and start working on it. On those, I think I'm going to need to bevel the edges as well, because these edges are in fact beveled. You know how you got the, because that, I got rid of the sharp edges. And, but I realized I didn't order any like straightaways. I only ordered like 3 curves, and it's like a gentle curve, and then 1 Y, right? And so I need the Y near the bridges on the right side of the map at Quatre Bras. Perfect. That's going to take up about 8 inches, I do believe. I don't think it's going to take up 12 inches. I think it's 8 inches. And that works out fine. And then the curves will make it so that I don't think I'm going to need that extra river. Because I think I cut one too few. But when I went to order those, when I saw those curves, I was like, oh, I could use those. And I just ordered them. So that's Battlescape. So if you're interested in shopping, they sell bases, but they also sell buildings. And so I got some 10mm Napoleonic wood building. Actually, they're like frame houses. They could be used for fantasy or anything. But they're like little MDF buildings you got to put together. So I ordered a few of those. Okay, so that's you saw the lake. That's just going to take time to dry. If you're curious to see how that turns out, be sure to stay tuned on my channel, because I do what's called these project updates, and I update my audience with things that go on towards my projects. Okay. Speaking of that, I've got 4 projects going on right now. This river and roads works in all my projects. So by doing those, I'm working on all my projects. I have one more thing. It's the table covering. I'm going to go get it, and I'm going to let you see it. Okay, I got one table covering. I did not like it. All right, I'm moving this microphone out of the way, so if you can't hear me, just turn up the volume. Okay, I got this one blankie right here. I'm going to turn the camera. Might help. Okay, so I got this one blankie, right? I call it a blanket. It's a blanket. It's actually just fabric. I ordered 3 yards. It's 50 inches wide, it's 60 inches wide, so it covers the 5-foot table, and then 3 yards covers the 9-foot part of my table, so it's 5 by 9. It's exactly 5 by 9. It's going to work fine. Okay, I got it because of, and you can see this, maybe you can, maybe you can't. It's fuzzy. Okay. Which way are we going? This way. You can see how it's got kind of this fuzz, and I wanted that. I wanted it to be kind of like a grassy surface on my table. And then I can lay the rivers or bridges or roads on top of it. Once it's flocked and everything, it would blend. But because this is lime green, I wasn't really happy with it. Okay, so I just said, okay, no big deal. I got it. I might be able to use it for some other project. Maybe I'll give it to my wife as fabric. She could maybe do something with it. She makes a lot of costumes and outfits and like medieval outfits, but I don't think this could be used for any kind of medieval outfit at all. But maybe if she was making a pillow cover or something, this is super comfortable. I mean, like, it feels really nice. Okay, so I said to myself, let's go ahead and order an olive, right? Because it's darker. And it's because this, I don't know if you can see it, it looks kind of bright. Oh, I got a little dirt there. Okay. So here's the olive. This part right here. Okay, you can't see that. I gotta move this more. There you go. So if I shift this, lime, olive. Okay. So the olive looks better, but it's not, it's fuzzy, but not like this. This has got fuzz to it. This doesn't have that. This is more like, but it looks like short grass. This looks like tall grass. So I wish it was darker than this with this pile. All right, and when I look at them side by side, this doesn't look that bad. It actually, I don't know. I'll put them both on the table and see which one, when I put my figures out, which one looks best. I like the fuzz. But I also like the fact that this doesn't have out of scale fuzz, if you know what I mean. I've seen some tables where guys are using fur, and the fur is like 2 inches long, and it just looks out of proportion to the miniatures. And I can also see that the figures shift on the table, and I'm anal about that. I don't want my figures to shift. I don't want them to sit up on clumps of fur or whatever. I want them to lay flat on the table, and I want them not to shift around. So this one, it might actually be the way to go. It looks like grass. It feels like grass. And it's darker. But I kind of like this look. I don't know. I will let you know which one I wind up using. Okay, speaking of, well, okay, my camera's all jacked up. All right. Speaking of which, I can take this off. I'm not actually doing any projecting right now. Speaking of which, it's only like $4 a yard, you know. So if I don't like those two colors and I want it to be even darker, or if I do want the thicker, I can go order another 3 yards. It's like $12. Not that big of a deal. Okay. Now, okay, this is something I thought about as well, because I've done it with my tarp. There, you can see the tarp on that table, right? This, I painted roads and rivers and town sectors, and you can see there's multiple shades of green and brown. I'm trying to move my fingers. You can see khaki and OD. Yeah, so I've experimented with drop cloths being my table surface. I don't like the rivers looking like that, and the road looks too, I don't know, painted on. That's why I built these roads, and that's why I'm building these roads and rivers. And these town sectors are designed for 28 millimeter black powder. And since I'm moving to 10 millimeter, those town sectors need to be about 1/4 the size. So I'm not going to use that, or I'm going to paint over it and recreate it at a smaller scale. But I thought about this. I could take my fabric that I just got, and I could maybe just use some khaki, maybe some OD green, and kind of just spray, just kind of mist it, not spray it, because then it'll turn it like hard and rock hard and stuff like that. I don't want to do that, but I could mist it with a spray from maybe a foot away, and just give it like I did with that, give it just gradual changes in color and textures. And I think I might do that on the lime green one, because I'm leaning towards the OD green one anyway. So, and I don't want to ruin it. So I could spray the lime green one because I like the fact that it's fuzzy, and see if it works, maybe in a small area, just to see if it works. And if it does, then I'll do the whole thing. So I might be like recoloring my own blanket, basically. Now, I thought about fabric colors, but they're usually like paint on or put in, or dyes like you put in a washing machine, and in that case it would dye it maybe a proper color, but it would all be one color. And I like the transition and the variations of colors, so I might work on that. Okay, so if you guys like one or the other, put it in the comments. If you're watching this a week later, put it in the comments. I'd like to hear what you guys have to think. And what do you use for a blanket? Do you use felt? I've used felt in the past. I've used just straight fabric. I've used flannel. I've used a lot of different fabrics for my table coverings. I'm trying to settle on one. I have this white felt that's great for winter, and I did paint like some random dark areas on it just to make it look like it's not just solid white sheet. Okay, so let's get into my last chapter that I wrote on here. It's the longest chapter. Like I said, I've got 4 projects, right? I've got my Napoleonic project, Waterloo, which I'm working on Quatre Bras right now. And everybody knows that. Everybody knows that I'm working on Quatre Bras. Once I get Quatre Bras done, then I'm going to do it again for the other half of Waterloo, because Quatre Bras is about half of Waterloo. Maybe not. Maybe it's about a third. But it'll be a good step towards, starting a second project. Right now it's the Quatre Bras project, but it's really just Napoleonic project. But it is in the long term, in the far off ways, it's going to be Waterloo. I do plan to do a Corunna Bay project, but that's not really a project. That's just designing a scenario, because there's only like a core of British, right? Core of French, core of British. Simple, easy peasy, like 3 divisions, 4 divisions per side. I think it would be a great like convention scenario. The same way I think Quatre Bras is a great convention scenario, because it's not like an all-day event. So I think I'm going to do a Corunna Bay in 10 millimeter as well, and I'm just going to proxy my late war British. I think that's what I'm going to do with that. Because a British soldier is a British soldier, in my opinion. But I understand. But all the models I'm getting are for late war, just to do it right. Okay. All right. Second project is American War of Independence. That project is put on hold for right now. I'm not working on my I have a few units in American War of Independence, but I pretty much put them to the side because I'm working pretty heavy on the 10 mil Napoleonics. But the next project I'm really going to work on is Ancients. I'm going to, and I have something on the screen here. Let's go ahead and show it to you. I clicked on the wrong thing. There it is. Okay, so Ancients. I'm excited about the rule system Sword Point. But I'm also excited about the rule system Hail Caesar. Right? So I kind of struggle between, like, how do I want to do this? Well, I've decided I'm going to build my armies using kind of the Hail Caesar strategy, and then I cross-pollinated my Sword Point and my Hail Caesar so that I could do them both justice, right? Using the same basing convention. All right. Why does it matter? Well, I've gone to 15 millimeter with my Ancients, right? 15 millimeter, you can see over here on the left side, like WRG, Wargame Research Group, or DBA, DBM, DBX, whatever, they use a basing convention that everything is 40 millimeters across in the front. And then their heavy infantry, well, everything's one rank of troops. So you put 4 guys on a 15 by 40 base. And then you put a number of bases to form a unit. Just kind of like this little thing right up there. And that would be heavy infantry. And then, like you can see it up here, use 4 figs for knights. And then if you go with a 20 millimeter deep, you use 3 figs for medium infantry and 2 for skirmishers. Okay, so it doesn't even look like this. It would look a little bit like that. That's 2 skirmishers, but instead of 15, it would be 20. Okay, and then cav is just 40 in the front and 30 deep. And then you put like 3 cavalry for a heavy infantry, heavy cav unit. Okay, well, if you saw me do these Dutch Lancers I just did, I used a 30 millimeter frontage and a 25 millimeter depth with 3 figures across. So they might be a little bit closer. I see that DBA wants to kind of spread their troops out when it comes to cavalry and skirmishers. Heavy infantry, 4 figures side by side, 15 millimeter depth is kind of tight. I found that 15 millimeter figures have a 10 millimeter frontage. So like I could put 3 on a 30 millimeter base, 4 on a 40, etc. 2 on a 20. Napoleon's Battles does 2 on a 20 and 2 ranks deep. So they actually use a 1-inch depth, 25 millimeter depth for 2 figures. where in DBA, that would be a total of 30 millimeters depth, because 2 15s. Okay. So, but, okay, let me get to this. That's too wide, right? 40 millimeter width is the same as my black powder 28 millimeter figures. The whole reason why I'm going 15s or 10 millimeters is to get rid of the 40 millimeter frontage of a base. So I'm not doing that. I have switched to a 30 millimeter frontage for my Napoleonics. I said, okay, if I did that, if I went 30 millimeter frontage with my 15s, I can't get more than about 3 figures on there. And if you look in the center one right there, that's a 30 millimeter frontage and a 30 millimeter depth. Okay, so it's square, just like black powder. Black powder requires a square, it doesn't require it, but it recommends a square base, and 6 of them is a battalion, right? Well, we're not playing with battalions in Hail Caesar. You can have any number of figures representing a unit, so, or any number of bases, so that doesn't matter. But when you go to Sword Point, they also use square bases, and they also use 40 millimeters, 2 figure front, 2 figure depth, and 6 bases is approximately what they would recommend for a unit. You can have more, you can have less. It's, there's a range in how many figures can be in a unit. It's point driven. But of course I'm going to use scenarios. So I just basically did math and did in thought process. And so I decided that I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do 3 figures across, 2 figures deep. It's going to be 6 figures on a 30 millimeter base, 30 millimeter square. That's how I'm going to do it. So that's going to be 36 figures for a standard unit, right? If I need smaller units or bigger units or whatever, that's what I'm going to do. Now, right below it, you see that there's 4 figures. I think I did with the 30 millimeter squares, right? 30 millimeter squares, but now I'm only putting 4 figures on it. That is going to be my that's going to be my medium infantry, right? So it's going to be a figure light in the frontage, right? So heavy infantry, medium infantry. And then for skirmish, I'm going to do it this way. I considered sticking with the 30 by 30 and then putting just putting less figures on the base, like 2 figures on a 30 by 30. It would just look it wouldn't look right, in my opinion. So I decided to go with a 40 millimeter frontage. I know, right? And only 15 millimeter depth. That's the same as the heavy infantry from WRG. But that's okay. I wanted my skirmishers to be longer than my heavy infantry, right? Because I'm basing this on Sword Point. Sword Point says that it should be twice as long. That's too big. I'm not going to do 60. I'm not going to do an epic Waterloo base for a skirmisher. Not going to do that. So I'm going to go back to my old 40 by 15s, which I've got a ton of them, and just put 2 figures on a base. So it'll be like 2, 4, 6 on a base. 2 for skirmishers, 4 for medium or open order as it's called, and then 6 for the heavies. That's how I'm doing the infantry. I've already decided. It's going to work with both Sword Point and Hail Caesar. I don't think I'm going to have a problem with that. And then when it comes to cavalry, right, there's only really two types of cavalry. You got heavy, and then you've got light. The heavy is actually heavy and medium, and then light is like light and skirmish. It's kind of like that. So this is how I'm going to do it over here. There is going to be a 40 millimeter frontage because I want my cavalry to be bigger than my heavy infantry. I want my heavy infantry to be small, condensed blocks of troops. And then the cavalry is going to be a little spread out. But, okay, I put 6 X's, but that's not really what's there. It's 3 horses. They're going to just be twice as long. Hey, Reg, what you got? Use felt, but switch to the Woodland Scenics Grass paper glued to foam board. Okay, so let me ask you this. Did you cut the foam board out into like tiles so that you could like swap them out and switch it out? Because that sounds good, and plus it's light and it's already flocked and everything. So that sounds like a rapid way to make some tiles. Yeah. Okay, because I know you're not going to put a 4x8 piece of foam on there with a piece of, well, they don't sell the sheets of paper that way, but you could cut them out that way. Okay, so 3 for heavy and medium, and then 2 horses for my lights. And I think that's going to work. It's going to work both for Hail Caesar. It's going to work for Sword Point, right? Okay. I got my generals on 30 millimeter rounds or commanders on 25 millimeter rounds. Now, elephants' engines are things like ballistas or onagers or trebuchets or whatever. I don't know how big I want to make those. Same thing with chariots and wagons. Yeah. And if you look over on the left side, I'm still working this out, but I'm kind of doing the math, like how many figures I need to do specifically the scenario book that Warlord put out called Caesar's Campaign or something like that. Battles of Caesar. Basically, it's his war against the Germans, and then he comes back and fights Pompey as well. So if the Romans seem like they are boosted, specifically the double part right here, if you ignore that, then you could get away with just this playing everybody, the Germans, right? But when they come back and play against Pompey, Pompey's got to have his own forces, so I would need more Romans. Now, Caesar would be using legionaries. I know that. I'm not doing legionaries. I'm doing plebeian Republican Romans, and those would be like the Marian reform. Previous to the Marian reforms, they would have, but they're, or is it the Marian reforms? But it's plebeian. So you're going to still have your Hastati and Principae and Triarii and Velites. You're still going to have all that, and your Equites, but you're not going to have like your the town militia guys. Rorari, you're not going to have any of those, right? They got rid of those. They phased them out, and they're sticking with just the principal legion. And then later, with the later Republicans, it started to be just legionaries. And then the legionaries were just experienced or veterans or whatever. And but they were equipped pretty much the same way as a Principe. And I don't want to do that. I want to do the Hastati, the Triarii, the Velites, and all that stuff. And then the Germans, I'm going to do Germans, obviously. And then I'm also going, and you might see it over here, I'm also going to do, you got to love my spelling, right? I'm going to do Macedon, right? We're going to do the Alexandrian Macedonians, not the Philip Macedon. So these are going to be the Macedons that Alexander took to through his entire campaign into the east, right? Okay, so but there's going to be hypaspids, a lot of phalanxes with the Sarissa, and some cavalry, his companions, skirmishers. He's going to have mercenaries, so a lot of cool stuff. And then I've got Carthaginian right there. Okay, because who was the big opponent to the actual Polybian Romans? It was Carthage, not the Germans, even though they did fight the Germans. The Germans, that's more of a Caesarian Roman conflict, but Carthage was the earlier Republican Romans, so I need to do some Carthaginians. So the Germans, and the Germans are basically going to be barbarians, basically, or mobs of troops. So that I might base them a little differently. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. Maybe I will put them on 40 by 40s and just put a selection because they're supposed to be a mob. The phalanxes, I'm definitely going to base them the same as the Romans. I thought about basing them a little bit differently because of the phalanx, but I don't think that's necessary. I think I could do 6 figures with pikes and then 2 ranks with, the various stages of elevation on the pikes. I don't want all my pikes down, and I don't want all my pikes up. I think I'd like to have 1 up, 1 here, 1 there, and then 1 down. But I don't know. Depending on how the miniatures work out, I'm going to go. Okay, let's talk about miniatures real quick. Old Glory. This is news. This is another part of the news that I'm going over. Old Glory has a sale going on right now. If you are interested in 15mm figures, I'm going to jump to that website. I'm going to create one right now. Old 19th century miniatures. There we go. Okay, so this is Old Glory 15s. You can see it up here at the top. It's 19th century miniatures. They've got a Christmas sale going on right here. The Christmas sale started the 24th, but it's going to go all the way till January 2nd, so you got to take advantage of it now. But if you get 10% off everything, right? But if you order more than 100, or more than 300, more than 400, etc., I'm looking at this one right here. So if I order that with that, it would only be 500. I'm going to get $1,000 worth of models for 500. Can't beat that. You can't beat that. I strongly recommend it. So if you guys are in, and plus they got this new pack here, I'm gonna have to get it. It's got Hannibal. It's got Scipio, Fabius. Yeah, it's got a bunch of these interesting guys. If you didn't know that already, they always provide a discount on larger orders, but this is even bigger because they have a code for 40% off anything over $400. It's actually bigger. It's 45%. And then this is not a normal discount. So I'm definitely going to have to take advantage of that. So if you're into 15mm models, which I kind of am, they've got a variety of different models. I don't know if you know this, but for those of you out there that play bolt action, 2x2 and 2x4. Oh yeah, tiles. Yeah, absolutely. 2x4 tile. Okay, well that means there'll be less seams. I did a bunch of 1x1 tiles. It became super heavy to carry them around, and I made each one bespoke with roads, and I took my clue or my cue from a company called GeoHex. I used to have everything imaginable from GeoHex. If they made a specific type of hex, I bought it. And mainly because I bought a huge collection used from one of my friends back in Nashville. And so I carried these boxes of GeoHex to Germany and back. And they were 1-inch foam hexes. They're double-sided, and some of them have, well, the hills aren't, but some had roads, some were clear, some were, yeah. So if you're interested in, let's say, bolt action, like you're playing World War II bolt action, they have this set, wrong place. Hold on. It's their other half of their website. They have this place called Old Glory Miniatures, which basically the company ownership, my understanding is they split, and one of them took like all the 15mm models, and the other guy took all the 25mm models. But they have a mix. Like he has some 15, some 10s. But they ship, or they sell only what, they don't step on each other's toes. Like one doesn't have 15mm Napoleonics and the other one also have 15mm Napoleonics. They made a decision where one or the other has what they have. Now, if you go to 25s, they have this company here called West Wind. I'm not sure if you're very familiar with these models. They look good. Now, West Wind, they have this thing called Bob, Berlin or Bust. They sell vehicles, 25mm vehicles. They're resin or sometimes metal even. And they also have figures. Yeah, see, that one's a metal one. That's resin and metal. You get the idea. But like for 36 bucks, you would have a Sherman. And there's multiple pages. But there you go. M10, right? Let's go next. Where do you see the duplex drive? You know, how often do you see that guy? Or the 1.5 ton with a gun? Deuce and a half. This is, I guess, the Sherman half underwater. You know, or you could go Germans. You know, look at that. They got the Flak Verling. I know that all you guys that play bolt action, everybody's got one of these in their army. Why? Because it's OP. Yeah, I know the deal. Half tracks, right? Kubel wagons. I probably wouldn't go for a resin or metal Kubel wagon, because you could definitely a Kubel wagon, probably not a half track, because you could probably get this cheaper from Warlord in plastic. You know, it's just, if you need that 251-9 for 31, there you go. They got their Opal Blitzes, canvas, 31 bucks. There's a Whirlwind, you know, and yeah, that's the way I would go. So this company, Old Glory, has something called a membership. They don't offer like a site-wide discount like the 15s do. They have something called a membership. It's $50, I think, if I remember right. And so you you have to buy your membership, but then you get 40%, maybe it's 40% off of everything you purchase. So if you buy a membership and then turn around and buy $120 worth of stuff, you've already made your money back. So it was free, basically. But then and the membership lasts for a whole year. So if you buy anything more, like if you buy 3-4 trucks and a tank or whatever, you're now saving money. So tried 1x1, didn't like the look, too many seams. Yeah, I'm feeling you. I feel that. Yeah, I didn't like the seams. Gave up on trying to have individual terrain tiles. Got to be too much tiles to store. Yes. Went to what you're doing with the river. Yep. Okay. Yeah, Reg. I guess it just took me a while to figure it out. Okay, so yeah, let me go back to the 15s because I want to show you, even because those guys, that's what I'm going to be working with in the near future. Because of these discounts, I think, and then they also have these packs that are suitable for Field of Glory or LaSalle, or they have quality castings, rank and file. They even sell the metal bases, so if you're a big metal base person, you can do that too. I used to be big in the metal bases because I used to think that I wanted, well, first of all, they're indestructible. There you go. But they add a little weight to your model. So if you're putting plastic models on there, because I used to play Command Decision in 1/72nd, and I had a ton of plastics, and when you put them on a metal base, they actually sit still, or they have a little bit of, weight to them. But the main reason why I got them was because they're thin, and so the figures were closer to the ground. Well, I found that those thin metal bases get caught on your terrain, and they don't slide like when you're pushing a Napoleonic unit forward. The metal bases just grip into the blankets or whatever. So I've gone to the wooden bases that are a little bit thicker, like 3mm or whatever. So if you like those bases, go for them. If not, don't worry about it. And I like Litco bases because they seem to be cut precisely accurate every time. These Wargame accessory bases, they're not exactly the same, because I'll open a pack of 30mm bases, and if you stack them on each other, you can see that some are longer than others, almost like a trick set of cards or something. You got this, your ace is just a little bit longer than everybody else. Not that I know anything about that. Okay, so Old Glory 15s. Okay, you can see these 15mm lines, they sell quite a bit. I'm going to be getting these, right, because of my American War of Independence project. But this Ancient Dark Age Medievals, I'm definitely going to get. I thought I was going to get the Napoleonic Wars ones, but they're just way too big for my epic scale stuff that I want to do. So, and then you have to decide, like, what period, like, are we talking about the Middle Ages? Are we talking about Republicans? Are we talking about Field of Glory camp sets? The classical period? Equipment. Okay, what have we got here? You got a trebuchet in here. Got a medieval trebuchet and an ancient trebuchet. FYI, the trebuchets are exactly the same. The ancient one comes with an ancient crew, and the medieval one comes with a medieval crew. That's what I need. Generic ancient ballistas. You get 3 ballistas and crew for $10.50. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look around. Even with the 50% off, though, you can't beat that, right? That would make it $5.25 for 3. That's good. That's good. Okay. Quality castings. No, not quality. Maybe it's rank and file. No. Wait, battle honors? I don't know. Battle honors. There we go. Ancients. You have very few figures here. They have some Carthaginians. Citizen Hoplites, you get 12 for 7. I don't know if that's a good price. 12 for 7 for battle honors. Citizen Hoplites. It was 12 for 7. This one is 24 for 10. This is way better. You get twice as many for 1.5 times the cost. Yeah. Some armored, some not. Okay, well, I don't want you guys to see me shopping. That wasn't the purpose of this video. Okay. Okay, I've got a couple of commissions out there. If you guys are needing figures painted, please notify me that you need something done. I'll quote you a price. You'll either send me the models or I'll acquire the models for you. And of course it's going to be cheaper if you send me the models, because then I don't have to buy the models. But if I have to buy the models, it will be cheaper than if you went out and bought them yourselves. Mainly because I get wholesale discounts with a variety of different companies. So if you're interested in getting like a unit painted, let's say you send me a bunch of NASA troops and you need a battalion painted, I'll do that for you, no problem. Expect a cost, but around $5. It could be more or less depending on the unit, the scale, how you want it based. Do you want me to provide the flag? Are you going to provide the flag? Are you providing the bases? Am I going to provide the bases? All that stuff. We'll work it out through email. If you're interested, I will gladly do that for you. I usually have about a 2-week turnaround. So I say usually because that's the way it's been for the last year. But this month, I'm currently sitting on 6 commissions. So I'm going to do them in order how I got them. And I can do probably a unit and a half a week, right? Something like that, if I don't do anything else. So you could expect maybe about a month turnaround right now. Yeah, and I don't mind doing that for you guys. I actually enjoy it. If you want some terrain built or a building created or a vehicle put together and painted, if you want the whole thing, assembled, I prefer doing the assembly because then I know it's done right. I've actually had guys send me models, and then I looked at the here we go, Hungarian light machine gunners. It's 2 figures on a horse base. You know what I'm talking about. There's a guy in the front. He's holding the bipod or whatever, and the guy in the back, he's shooting just like a German, right? It's a popular pose. You've seen it everywhere. He put it together wrong. The guy is standing there like this, and the machine gun's over the wrong arm, over the wrong shoulder. He glued the machine gun over here, and the guy's standing there like he's trying to hold the bipod, but the bipod's over here, or at least the machine gun's over here. So, honest mistake. It's the only thing it was the only thing wrong out of that whole collection. But if I was to glue it together, I would have known, and I would have glued it together properly. I make mistakes, but because I do this for a living, and I'm gonna have to toot my own horn here a little bit. I do this for a living. I paint units, plural, every week. I crank them out. I build terrain. I build, like buildings and trees and rivers and roads and obstacles and smoke screens. I'm looking over there. I got smoke screens I'm still building. I was building that for 148 Tactic. And when I decided to scrap that whole 148 Tactic game, I'm not playing that anymore. Those smoke screens are sitting over there unfinished. Well, actually, they kind of are finished. I just wish to have taken it a little bit further. Nothing wrong with 148 Tactic. 148 Tactic is a great game. I think it would be better played at 28mm, just like bolt action. The problem I have with 148 Tactic, every person is individual. It's woke. Not really. But every figure is a superhero. Every figure's got abilities that other guys don't have. And I don't like that. I want a rifleman who is a generic rifleman. I got 12 of them. There are 12 riflemen. Not Joe can shoot 16 inches. Sam shoots twice at 14 inches. Fred throws grenades. And on and on and on. And that's how that game is. Every figure is different. And what that does is it's doing what Warlord is doing, and this is why I'm kind of a little upset with Warlord. Making it bespoke. You can't play 148 Tactics without getting their figures. First of all, their figures are 148 scale, which means they're not readily available. You can get 148 scale like Tamiya or whatever. You can get these plastic models in 148 scale and you can assemble them. But guess what? They are not one of those characters. You probably could scratch build or mod or what's the word I'm looking for? Kit bash or whatever. You could probably make those figures, or like this one guy's carrying a shotgun. Well, where are you going to get a shotgun in 148 scale? So you got to get these specific models for their game, and so when you buy the game, you got to get their models. I don't like that. Kind of like Warhammer 40K, Warhammer Fantasy. If you want to play their game, you've got to get their models. That's okay because an orc is an orc, and I could get orcs from anywhere, or elves are elves. I can get elves from anywhere. But if they have to be a certain shape or a certain size, or if they have to carry certain weapons, I don't want to do that. Or if every single one of them does a unique ability or something like that, then you're just playing with champions, and I don't want to do that. I want rank and file guys. 40K does the same thing. You know, you got to have these chaos guys. Or nowadays they have specific units that you can't buy from any other company because they're unique to that game, which it's a marketing strategy. You know, that's how they get you to buy their models, because you want to play their game, you got to have their models. I don't like that. And that's kind of what I'm feeling. That's the emotion that I'm getting with the Napoleonics. They are there we go. They are they made a unique scale of model, 13.5 millimeters, and calling it N scale when it's not, or calling it, you know, it's in between 10 and 15. So I can't use my 10 millimeter models and say they work with Epic, or I can't use my 15 millimeter models because they won't fit on the Epic bases, you know. So it's making me mad, but I'm holding my rage in. I'm holding it in because I want to get those models in, and I want to see for myself how big they are, because I'm relying on other YouTubers to tell me how big they are, and they might not be the exact same size as the ACW ones. I got a stain on my mouse pad right here. It's bugging me. So, also, I haven't gotten in the Pendragon figures. When I get those in, I'll be able to lay out my GHQ, my Magister Militariums, my Old Glory, and my Pendragon models, and then also the Epic Waterloo figures, all 5, lay them out and see which ones work with each other. I suspect that Pendragon is upscaled. I actually looked at some of those figures from a distance, but they looked bigger than some of the 10 millimeter models that I have. So, like, I've got GHQ 10 mils. They're exactly 10 mil from the eye to their foot. Perfect 10 mil models. They're too thin though. They're anorexic. Next one up, I think, is Old Glory. Old Glory come in a 5-man strip, which is great, and they look good, but I think they're like 11 millimeters. Maybe pretty close to 11 millimeters. And then my Magister Militarium models seem to be really close to 11.5, 12 millimeters. They're a little bit bigger. So I can show you, and I will. I'm not going to do this review until I get all those figures in. But basically, when I get the Pendragons in, I'll do a review of all 4 of them, and then not a review, a scale comparison, really. And then when I do get the epics in, then I'll be able to compare whichever one of those is the largest to the epic, to see if they actually fit with them. And I have a feeling that Pendragon is going to be really close, because I think they're like 12. And if they're 12, I could put them on a thick base and have them work with the 13 millimeter, 13.5 millimeter Warlord. The problem I have with Warlord, I've got multiple problems with a lot of different companies. One of the problems I have with Warlord is it's on a 60mm base. That's ridiculous. I want it to be on a 30mm base. We already know that. 5 figures. 5 figures on a 30 is the same as 10 figures on a 60. Perfect. Great. So that means they should be able to be split in half, and then I'll base them up 5 figures on a 30mm base. That is what I'm planning on doing. That's the only way I'm going to use the Epic Warlord, if they're able to be split, and if other figures are compatible with their scale. If not, I'm just going to abandon the Epic Warlord scale. I'm still going to play the Epic Warlord Black Powder. I still love Black Powder. Black Powder is a great game. I believe in transitioning to an epic scale. I believe that. I love that. I want to do that. I just don't want to have 60mm bases, you know, and I don't want to be beholden to Warlord to only get their figures. That is bullshit. And I wouldn't mind it so much if they had everything available. If they had Russians and Austrians and Prussians, Brunswickers, Nassau, Hanover, different style uniforms like the what do you call those things? The stovepipe, the Belgiques, the French, they're pretty much squared away. Every unit can be modeled out of the French sprues. That's not a problem, except for the Grenadiers, which they're coming out ASAP. Highlanders coming out ASAP. No problem. It's just that what about the non-British guys and the alternative British guys, like the light regiments that wore stovepipes? Or now, are you going to tell me that I have to use the 95th rifles and paint them up as a stovepipe? No, their uniforms are actually different. They're carrying rifles as opposed to bayoneted muskets. So, I don't know. I'm upset about that. But if the scale is, if Pendragon and Warlord are similar enough, I'll do a lot of my British in plastic, and then I'll fill in the blanks with Pendragon. That's my plan right now. I ordered a bunch of non-British Pendragon. I ordered all the Brunswick, all the Nassau, all the Dutch Belgians. I've got enough to do everything I need at Quatre Bras with those elements. The Hanover and the British I didn't touch because I'm planning on using the plastics for them if they work. If they don't work, I'm scrapping the epics and I'm just going to go straight with Pendragon and Magister Militarum, because Magister is actually really good figures as well. Old Glory, maybe, but only in the second rank, because their command figures blow, but their regular line troops look really good. And Old Glory, or not Old Glory, GHQ, not going to touch them. They're anorexic. They look too thin. They have no meat on their bones. And they're only 10, they're like 10 millimeters. Yeah, so I don't know. Which is good. They're supposed to be 10 millimeters, but I want bigger. Size matters. Now I've also considered just doing Napoleonics in 15 like I did in the olden days, and just putting 3 figures on a 30 millimeter base. But then I thought to myself, that's not epic. That's just Napoleon's battles in a different rule set. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going with the 5 figures across on a base, 4 bases will still be a battalion. So it'll be fairly small. You're looking at like a 60 millimeter frontage for a battalion, 2 figures, and then 2 bases, and then 2 bases. Now, if they go into line, of course it'll be longer, but and then that should be playable on a 5x9, all Waterloo, I think, all Quattro Bra. It'll be exciting, and the terrain, pretty cheap. I don't know if you guys have ever been to this site. Let me show you another site. I'm winding this video down. That's why it might seem like I'm winding it down. I don't think that's it. Okay, hold on. Battle scale? No. Who made buildings that I just bought? It's not battle scale. They're the ones that do the resin, and they've got like a set. It's not Magister. Who did I buy? I bought some, and there's also companies out there doing like paper buildings and stuff, but I didn't want to do those. Okay, where did I get my, give me a second. I've got, oh, there it is. I had to look at my orders that I had out. There we go. This company right here, Warbase. Okay, let me close that. Let me see if you can see it. Nope, you can't see it. Okay. There you go. Now you can. This is a great site. I don't know how long it's going to take for us to get our order. So we'll see. But when it comes to bases, I went to, they have 2 different types. They got multiple types of bases, really. They got plastic, they got Premier, they call it Mini Hammer. And then they got Kings of War Circular. So you can get some bases from them, but I'm not sure how good quality they are. So I ordered a couple of them. Just when they come in, I'll let you know. I clicked. There we go. Basically, it'll tell you how big they are and stuff like that. Now, these have magnet holes, but I'm not using that. I'm doing this. When you select your option, like here, Mini Hammer, you can decide if you have any specific base size you wanted to do, or if you want diameters or squares or small infantry. Let's just say you wanted to have a square 25 by 25. You would get 25 of them. And then you can pick a thickness. 2 millimeters sounds good. Magnet hold, no, none. Okay, once you've selected all that, it tells you how much it is. 146 pounds for 25. Is that not a good price? I think that's a good price. But I want to look at them to see exactly if it is a good price or not. Okay, they have movement trays. There you go. But when it came to the buildings, here we go. 10 millimeter Mini Hammer buildings. I'm going to look to see if they've got 15 millimeter build. They do, 15. They might have some 15s for American War. I'll have to check. But Mini Hammer. These buildings. They're like, I got a bunch of them. I got all of them except these crazy, these two. I didn't get these two because they look too crazy. Okay, they look fantasy to me. They look good, but they just look crazy. So I clicked. See that? See that? Did you see the price? £2. £2. Got some Napoleonic dudes. Okay. There's options. There's a stone foundation, which is what you see there. And then there's a timbered foundation is the one you see there. You can see it's 3D. Got a skeleton and whatever else. But, yeah. I couldn't pass that up. £2? That's excellent. We got other things on there too, but I'm excited about. Oh, wait. Always wanted to show you something. Not movement trace. I think it was bases, right? Or terrain bases. Here we go. Terrain bases. Okay, so you can get this 4-inch by 4-inch terrain base if you want. You can get ponds and lakes if you want. You can get objective bases, which I'm not really sure what all that's supposed to be. But this is the river base thing that I was talking about. Okay, we're going to click it. We're going to click that bad boy. I thought I ordered... Okay, when I put my mouse over it, it really messes everything up. But I thought I ordered like these 210 straightaways and getting 3 of them. And then the bend, but I thought I ordered the starter pack, right? But I didn't. I ordered... Oh, you can get it at 3 mil? Okay, I just want 2 mil though. So right there, you can see you're getting 4 bends for £2. I don't think that's the bend I got. I don't think that's the bend I got. 95. No, it's not the night. Maybe I got the... I don't think I got that. I think I got the gentle bend. Okay, either way. But still, I'm going to get 4 of them. And I won't have to make these bad boys. You know? I also got this Y junction right there. Yeah. Can't wait. See, this is the set you would get if you bought the starter pack. And see, that was only £1.67. The starter pack is £10, 10.5 pounds, but you get like a little bit of everything. Enough to do a fairly good size. Oh, okay, here we go. We got our wide junction. 50 millimeters wide. Okay, that's fine. I cut these at 60 millimeters, remember. So that's no problem. And then when I get it in, I'll just work it up just like I did these guys. Yeah, they got 70 millimeter straights. I guess that's this guy at the bottom. You get 8 of those. You get 4 of the 140s. You get 3 of the 210s. So that's a lot of straightaways. 210, I think, is close to 8 inches. I think. 210 is like 8.5 inches. Well, it's just under 8.5 inches. And then you get all these bends. You just have to texture them up. It just comes as the MDF. Vinny, okay. Yeah, see 15 millimeter Roman Yeah, this would be a good, okay, that's, yeah, it's 15mm scale. I might have to put another order in. I'm not going to do it until I actually get those figures in. I got to have some Roman buildings for my, I like that one. It's a villa. I like that one better. I'm going to take a look at it real quick. Okay. I like it. 15mm scale. Okay. 12.5. I kind of like that one too. It's 16, but that's okay. Yeah, that's a lot of detail. Problem with these, I wonder if it gives, okay, it gives me weight. Doesn't give me the ground, the footprint, because I would need to know like how big the town sector would have to be. But in the Roman period, you're not really occupying towns. So they would just be terrain on the table. Well, actually, that you can. Wait, they have instructions. Oh, it tells you how to put it together. What is that? Okay. That's a little confusing for me. Okay, well, that was all I needed to talk about today. Wanting to talk about. Reg, would you say got some things from the war base? Quality was good. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. Shipping from UK running slow right now. Yeah, it is. Well, everywhere, I would think right now, because basically my understanding is they have less employees because employees aren't reporting to work, or they're getting fired. And so you have like half the employees working. So that's going to effectively double the shipping time. And then you have customs holding things a little bit extra longer. So that's going to add a few extra days too. So instead of it being 2 weeks, it might be 3 or 4 weeks. Is that Lee Rokus? Hey, guy. Where are you living? Where do you live at? Are you on the East Coast? I'm just curious. Because if you're on the East Coast, I would expect that to be true. But I'm out in the boondocks. I'm a boondoggle. Country boy. Are you in like a main shipping hub on the East Coast? But it has been arriving, absolutely. Like, I have been getting my orders in, but not a week. It's not a week. Let me open up my calendar here. Yeah, my Pendragon models, it's already been 3 weeks. Hey, I'm in Tennessee as well. Okay, you're in Knoxville. Yeah, okay. So, you've been getting lucky. Well, are you ordering miniatures, or what are we ordering? And who are you ordering from? We don't need to get into all that. You're just getting lucky. If you're ordering, I don't know, wine glasses and you're getting them, that's a different thing than ordering metal miniatures. Or ordering from a company that ships slow mail. Well, me too. I'm in Clarksville. I'm just north of Nashville. So you and I should be getting them about the same amount of time. You know, when I ordered my Perry's or my Warlord games, I get them right away. I get them usually within 1 or 2 weeks, like I said. But when I order from Minifigs, it's already been 5 weeks. And when I order from, which I haven't gotten them in yet, and when I order from Battlescape, Warbase, Pendragon, those have all been almost a little bit over 2 weeks right now. Okay. Well, when I order, plus I think that I very rarely get anything in a small bubble envelope. Very rarely. It's almost always a box that's 12 inches on a side. I don't order onesies and twosies. I tend to order a couple hundred at a time, and I don't pay for the extra, fast shipping either. I don't pay for the expedited shipping. Some people, I mean, you might be, but I can wait. So if it takes 5 weeks, I'm okay with that, because I got so many miniatures I got to paint anyway. But I am looking forward to this Pendragon order coming in, Battlescape buildings, Warbase buildings. And the minifigs. The minifigs, I already think, I could be wrong, but minifigs used to be in the past small 15s. So if they're small 15s, which I hope they are, I could use them with the Warlord epic. But if they're just like my Old Glory 15s, then I won't be able to use them. So you might see them go up on my store. All right, guys, it's been almost 2 hours. I appreciate everybody coming out and checking out my stream, hanging out with me, talking with me. You play a lot of skirmish games. Okay. Yeah, well, I do with, I was doing SPQR and Bolt Action, Lion Rampant, not Sharp's Practice. What's that other one? Never played it, but I was getting ready to play it. Chosen Men. But, yeah, when it comes to skirmish, I go 25 millimeter, 28 millimeter. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to do a little work on my rivers. I'm going to, I think I'm going to put an order in for some Old Glory Ancients. And I'll see you in my next update. So you guys can, it's going to be before next Wednesday. But if you miss it, no problem. Come by next Wednesday and I'll tell you what I'm working on. All right, you guys have a great day. Forager. I don't know what that is. I'll look into that.